Ruth Bader Ginsburg is hearing arguments for the Supreme Court from her hospital room, and somebody, somewhere on the phone call, flushed the toilet. Also, CBS caught red-handed scamming millions of viewers, and we're going to play an important clip for you about God and the economy. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance.
Welcome to the program, friend. The pandemic crisis continues apace. We are at about 75,000 deaths in America. Over 1.25 million confirmed cases. We don't know how many millions of people have this, have the antibodies, had no symptoms whatsoever. There's still so much about this that we don't know. What we do know is that it has caused shutdowns of massive parts of our economy and even some parts of our government. The U.S. Senate is back to work, but the U.S. House refuses to show up, even though there are plenty of precautions that they can take. The U.S. Supreme Court decided to do something brand new in its history, and that is to hold hearings on cases via telephone. So the case was actually broadcast, our oral arguments for a case involving robocalls, phone calls, you know what we're talking about. They come to your house, they come to mine. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg is in the hospital. So we know that we have the justices on the phone. We know we have lawyers for both sides on the phone. I don't know who else was on the phone, but somebody on the phone, forgive me for starting with comic relief, I can't help it, left the phone on, didn't put the phone on mute, and this is what they did.
Going to be saying, hey, call your congressman and change these laws that apply to banks. And what the FCC has said is that when the subject matter of the call ranges to the topics, then the call is transformed. And it's a call that would have been allowed and it's no longer allowed. And so I think...
Yes, that is the sound of a flushing toilet. There's so much irony there. There's so many political jokes that are just lining up saying, pick me, pick me. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, 87 years old, in the hospital. And I've said it to you before, I'm going to say it again. So much of the vitriol and the incessant attacks against President Trump is about the Supreme Court. It's about who picks the next justices for the Supreme Court. Period. That's what it's about, friends. So, God have mercy on us. God have mercy on us is all I can say. She's going to retire. She's going to die. Someone else is going to. And if President Trump is successful in appointing judges to the court who will overturn Roe versus Wade, we could take one important step toward ending this Holocaust in America. Now, the media, the left-wing godless media, this pack of liars, this den of thieves, they have not stopped blaming President Trump for anything and everything that they possibly can. And they're using this horrible pandemic crisis in the country to just keep punching at President Trump from every angle that they can. Now, I have contended for years, decades really, that the media, much of the national media, they are not ethical. Some of them are liars. Most of them are deceivers by what they omit. So they say, do you swear to tell the truth? The whole truth. And what the secular press often does is they omit massive portions of the truth. It's the sin of omission, what they failed to tell you. So we're going to play a clip for you from Project Veritas. And this is absolutely mind-boggling. In fact, let's play it in the next segment. Let's do it in segment 2. So please stay with me. Why would they lie like this? It's about politics. Please, please, please stay with me. You're not going to believe your eyes. CBS involved in a full-blown lie to continue to put pressure on President Trump. We'll be right back. My hat's off to Project Veritas. These guys have done such incredible work with their undercover reporters. It's interesting to me that Drudge, the Drudge Report, as of the taping of this program, had not put this link on their website. It's been distressful to me because I check Drudge most days to see the headlines from around the country. They're a news aggregator. They get to choose what they put on. And most of what they have been putting up has been hammering President Trump, which I find odd. But they didn't put this up. When you've got, well, you know what, let me just show it to you and understand that they were caught red-handed. Here you go.
You're telling me you're 100% certain that CBS News Corporation, National, staged a fake event. They faked the news. They faked the reality and broadcasted that to all of their audience last Friday on CBS This Morning.
100%, absolutely.
And apparently, the news crew wanted more people in the line because they knew it was scheduled.
Well, we knew they were coming. We had no clue that we were going to have to, do fake patients.
Gotcha. And did she tell you guys, hey, you're not actually getting tested?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she did. Just to make it look busy for the news because they were right there.
That's crazy. Well, I didn't see you guys do the swab at all. I just saw you talking with them. And then I was talking with the other girl.
There were a couple real patients, which made it worse.
They probably just wanted it to look busy. It's my guess.
I'm James O'Keefe, standing outside CBS News corporate headquarters in Midtown Manhattan in New York City. An insider has come to us from a Grand Rapids medical center, and they claim that CBS News created a fake COVID testing line, taking away doctors and medical personnel away from treating patients just to create a fake staged event for CBS News and their national morning show. This is an explosive story involving an insider who recorded things from his colleagues. Check this out. So when this event occurred, where did you work?
I worked at Cherry Health.
Cherry Health is?
It's a medical facility. It's Cherry Health Heart of the City is the full name of it. And when I came into work that day, the news crew was there. I was kind of asking around what happened, and they were just letting me know that there's news there for the testing.
What did you see happen that that you're claiming is fake news about this?
Well, when I was over there and the line was coming through, a lot of them were just kind of driving up and not really getting tested at all. They were just talking with the testers. So I was asking what's going on with the tests, and then that's when they told me that, majority of the line is from employees at Cherry Health. So, yeah.
The people in the line were not people being tested, but they were employees pretending to be patients?
Correct, yep.
Why would they do that?
I think it's a little bit of a benefit for both parties. I do know Cherry Health is struggling a little bit financially. They're a nonprofit, so they get a lot of their money from donors or grants. So it just makes them look productive. And then on the side of the news, they want to make the line appear bigger than it is, just for their reporting purposes, to show that this is a big deal, that people are getting tested in massive numbers.
So we do have enough testing kits, but we're really short on gowns. We're also short on N95 masks. We cannot expand further without any additional personal protective equipment.
They also can't expand testing because of recent staffing cuts.
Cherry Health has laid off about 25% of our staff.
Wow. And at a time like this.
Exactly.
The governor says she may further open the economy region by region if the data shows it's safe. Now, putting Michigan back to work won't make up for the roughly $3 billion the state estimates it'll lose because of the pandemic.
It always seems to go back to the testing. Thank you very much. That was Adriana Diaz reporting.
So they were almost staging a fake news event. Is that what you're telling me?
Correct. Yes.
Now, the segment aired on CBS News this morning with host Gayle King, a nationally distributed broadcast seen by millions of people every morning. King says it's just one of many on COVID testing.
Only 6 states have reported more cases than Michigan, but fewer than 2% of its people have been tested for the virus. In our series on the state of coronavirus testing, Adriana Diaz shows how Michigan is trying to improve a system that has failed some of its people.
But the governor says testing, above all else, will help determine when to fully reopen.
And apparently, the news crew wanted more people in the line because they knew it was scheduled.
So when did you find out on Monday that it wasn't real people, or not real people, but that it was employees?
That long ass line that we had.
Yeah.
And then when I went to go grab the bag with the test tube in it, that's when they told me, and I was like, figures, because we see the schedule ahead.
Oh, so no one told you like in advance? It was just kind of like,
happened, like right there.
you were just like, why is this line so long?
Yeah, actually, she's looking for volunteers to go out and just drive through the tent.
Gotcha. And did she tell you guys like, hey, you're not actually getting tested?
Yeah.
Okay.
She did. She just was just to make it look busy for the news because they were right there watching.
All right. Well, the entire episode from Project Veritas was closer to 12 minutes. We played a 6-minute clip for you. Why would they lie? Because, well, as you heard in the interview with the guy capturing people, they wanted to make it look busier than it was. They wanted, but why? Because of the high drama. There are elements in the press right now. These are men and women who have very high paying jobs, and they're not going to lose their jobs. They're going to keep getting their very lucrative paycheck. They're going to keep making their mortgage payments and their car payments. And in the meantime, they want to do whatever they can to get President Trump out of office. Oh, the Trump administration has bumbled this from the beginning. We don't have the test kits that we need. They didn't need test kits. It was all just a scam to fill time during CBS Morning News and to give more fodder for the anti-Trump agenda. I showed you this so that you can see firsthand why so many of us who have been in the media for years, like myself, and who have been covered by the media for years, like myself, why we have howled our lungs out about the dishonesty of so much of the national press. I've got to take a break. I have an important clip coming up for you when we come back. Don't go away. Welcome back, friend. I got a text from a friend showing that Project Veritas video, and he said to me, the whole pandemic coronavirus crisis is a fabrication. It's all a lie. And I thought, no, it's really not. That video does not prove that the coronavirus is a lie. What it proves is that CBS was lying about a certain clinic in Michigan. But the 75,000 dead people, they're really dead. And the 30 million plus people that are out of work right now, they're really out of work. And the panic that has stricken so many people, that panic is real. There's a meat shortage going on now. You hear that certain Wendy's are putting up signs saying we have no beef? What I saw in the press was that there was 1 in 5 Wendy's do not have hamburgers. There's going to be a run on beef in the stores, friends. They're pouring out milk, they're euthanizing hogs, and yet there's going to be a food shortage. They're plowing under crops in some areas of California, or they just don't have any way to sell them to the restaurants because restaurants are closed. And that, by the way, down line puts food pantries and homeless shelters in a crisis because a lot of those places that feed the poor are dependent on restaurants who give them the leftovers before they go bad. We don't know how far out of control this thing is going to spin. But I'm telling you this, and I'm going to show you this video clip right now. God himself is behind the scenes trying to get our attention, chastening us, and it's about innocent blood. Here's a passage from our recent documentary, Pandemic, on the economy. For millions of Americans, the most devastating part of this pandemic will be financial. Businesses will be closed forever. Jobs will be lost. Banks will foreclose on homes. Just as with plagues and fear, economic hardship and ruin is one of the punishments God specifically says he'll use to chasten a nation. God did it to the Egyptians.
The Israelites did as Moses instructed and asked the Egyptians for articles of silver and gold and for clothing, and they gave them what they asked for, and so they plundered the Egyptians.
God promised the Jews prosperity in the promised land as long as they remained faithful to him.
The Lord will send a blessing on your barns and on everything you put your hand to. The Lord will grant you abundant prosperity if you pay attention to the commands of the Lord your God.
God also warned his people that if they rebelled, he would take away their wealth.
Just as it pleased the Lord to make you prosper and increase in number, so it will please him to ruin and destroy you.
When the Jews were prosperous, they committed horrific acts of evil. God kept his promise.
Your wealth and treasures I will give as plunder without charge, because of all your sins throughout your country.
Ezekiel declared,
Your doom has come. Injustice has blossomed, pride has budded. None of them shall remain, nor their abundance, nor their wealth, neither shall there be preeminence among them. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller mourn, for wrath is upon all their multitude.
Think of the wealth lost in the Civil War, both in the North and the South. Many southern cities never recovered. We are witnessing again the loss of trillions of dollars without a shot being fired. Where it will end, we don't know. But we know that the most prosperous nation in the history of the world is bleeding financially and going deeper and deeper into debt. And remember this, God has more disaster than the federal government has relief. Jeremiah said with weeping,
Have you not brought this upon yourself by forsaking the Lord your God? Your wickedness will chasten you, and your apostasy will reprove you. Know and see that it is evil and bitter for you to forsake the Lord your God.
In our national history, the bitterness and ruin of the Civil War was because of generational slavery, man-stealing, kidnapping, which was a sin that cried out to God from the early days of America for 250 years until it was made illegal. Abraham Lincoln knew it, John Brown knew it, and I promise you, the slaves knew it. David Walker was a free black man in Boston. In 1830, he predicted the Civil War as a judgment of God.
They forget that God rules in the armies of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth, having his ears continually open to the cries, tears, and groans of his oppressed people, and being a just and holy being will at one day appear fully in behalf of the oppressed. He causes the oppressors to rise up one against another, to be split and divided, and to oppress each other, and sometimes to open hostilities with sword in hand.
Now let us ask, what have we done to deserve the chastening hand of God on our nation? Let us look at ancient Jerusalem and then New York City. Friends, remember there's a lot of verses in the Bible about economic prosperity, but there's a lot of verses in the Bible that show that it's conditional. If you obey the Lord, he'll prosper you. And as a nation, we have sins that are crying out to God, and the penalty is now being paid in our economy. I'm asking you to go to my website, randallterry.com, watch the whole documentary, and then send a link to your friends, to your pastor. I was contacted this morning by a Roman Catholic priest who sent the video, Pandemic, to tons of bishops and priests, asking them to watch it. I'm asking you to do the same. Please go to randallterry.com. And if you can help us financially, we need the help. I've got one other favor to ask you when I come back, and it's not about money. Don't go away. Welcome back, friend. In addition to releasing the film Pandemic, The Threshing of America, I'm now finishing a book called The Judgment of God, Coronavirus, Economic Meltdown, and the Coming Conflict with China. I'm not saying it's going to be a military conflict, but we are going to have conflict with China, the worst of nations. I'm asking you, if you have the time, to go to my website, randallterry.com, and read the first 3 chapters of the book and critique them. I'm asking you for your input. Email me personally at randallterry2020@gmail.com. Put that up on the screen for me if you would. randallterry2020@gmail.com. Tell me what you think of the book. Anything you would change, that you wish was added, that you wish was taken away. And also, if you have any comments about the documentary, I want to hear from you. That's why I'm giving you out my email address. Only I read it. Thank you. God bless you. We'll see you next time.